Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Cinema Chat, my weekly movie podcast. And on the second episode of this awesome series, we will be discussing the man, the myth, the legend, director Ari Aster. Yes, with the release of Beau is Afraid a week or so ago, I thought it would be a fitting time to talk about this man's filmography as he now has three films to discuss. And it should be said, Ari Aster is a very interesting director. So you got a lot of passionate thoughts for people who love his movies, a lot of passionate thoughts for people who hate his movies. Not a whole lot in between for Mr. Ari Aster here with his movies. Very divisive films, but yeah, it's always interesting when he makes a new movie for that discussion. So, yeah, we'll be discussing his three films today, and how I feel about his movies, and yeah, just my thoughts on him as a director so far. Quick disclaimer before we get too far into this episode. I am feeling a little bit under the weather today. Got a scratchy throat and a stuffed nose. So if I sound a little weird or, I don't know, I sneeze or make weird noises, that's probably why. So, yeah, I'm going to try and keep the weird and gross sick noises to a bare minimum for you today, or at least try and edit them out. But back to today's topic, that thing you're actually here to hear about, Mr. Ari Aster. So, yeah, he has three films under his belt: Hereditary from 2018, Midsommar from 2019, and Beau is Afraid from just like a few weeks ago. Now, Ari Aster, his movies come from A24, and I could do like a three-part series for this podcast on A24 alone, but they're a very, very interesting film production studio, right? Like, you have some movies that are just amazing, like my favorite movie of last year, Everything Ever All at Once. The first A24 film that I adore and genuinely love, and it's one of my favorite films of all time. Like that, I saw that movie in April last year, and I walked out of that movie saying that will be my favorite movie of the year. Nothing will surpass that. Nothing did surpass it, and then it won Best Picture. So, um, yeah, you can get something like that, or you get, some stuff that I'm not that big of a fan of, like old Beau is Afraid there. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that one. But yeah, it's just such an interesting film studio. And Ari Aster, man, he always puts expert craftsmanship into his movies. Like, this guy knows how to make a movie. On the technical side, like, his movies look beautiful, shot very well, acted very well. All that technical stuff can go into them. And he does put that all into them. And it's on display for all of his movies, I think. On a technical side, he hasn't made a bad movie yet. Like, I have very few negative things to say about him as a director on the technical side. As for the stories he chooses to tell and his use of messaging and symbolism, however, I'm not that big on that. But yeah, so I guess let's just get right into talking about his movies. And let's switch it up. Let's go from newest to oldest on his films. So, we'll start with Beau is Afraid, which just released in theaters like a week or so ago. So, yeah, I was not a fan of this movie. It is one of my least favorite movies I've seen all year. I have it rated at a 1.5 stars on Letterboxd just because this movie just bored the piss out of me. I was so bored for almost 3 hours, and there's just like so much weird shit happening in this movie, but it's not interesting. It's just so boring and so metaphorical. Like, there's just so much weird shit. It's like you're trying to describe the craziest dream you've ever had to someone, but that person just doesn't care. Like, that's what this movie kind of felt like to me as I was watching it. So, yeah, like I said, though, Ari Aster knows how to shoot a movie, knows how to have good performances. Like Joaquin Phoenix gives a great performance in this movie. The movie is shot very well. The production design's very good. It's just, I didn't like the story, and it is just weird as hell. Like, spoiler alert for if you're gonna see Beau is Afraid. I didn't need to see a 10-foot tall penis monster get shot in the balls and bleed out sperm, but I have seen that now. So, thank you for blessing my eyeballs with that. But that is something I didn't think I was ever going to see in my life, nor did I really want to see it. But I have now, so I have to live with the fact that I've seen a 10-foot tall penis monster. I forgot to mention that it has arms and it stabs a dude, but whatever, not that important. But yeah, it it just keeps on going and going. It's one of those movies where it blurs the line between reality and what's not reality, and I don't like movies like that where there's just trippy shit happening. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's not real, and it keeps cutting back between the two, and you don't know which one is which. I don't like movies like that. I never have liked movies like that. Another movie that came out this year that did that was Malum, I believe is how you pronounce it. Spoiler alert, was not a fan of that movie either. So, yeah. 3 hours long. I'm usually not someone that complains about the runtime of a movie. If a movie can justify its runtime, then so be it, right? I did my review for John Wick Chapter 4. I don't think the runtime was an issue for me. That wasn't in my negatives on that review, because John Wick Chapter 4 merited a 3-hour runtime for me personally and kept me engaged and interested for 3 hours, right? Like some of my favorite movies of all time, long movies. Watchmen, long movie. Hateful Eight, long movie. Shawshank Redemption, semi-long movie, right? But they all keep me engaged and I'm interested in it, and I think they all merit their runtime. Beau is Afraid did not need to be 3 hours long. So, yeah. The pacing, it's not so much pacing, but just the length of your film has to be justified. Like, of course, you can have a movie that's too short, and you're like, that movie could have been longer. In this case, you could have easily trimmed off 30 to 45 minutes of this film. So, yeah, Beau is Afraid. If you like Ari Aster, definitely check it out. If you're really into that prestigious high art house cinema, definitely check it out. But for me personally, no. Nope. This one's a nope for me. But looks nice. Good performance from Joaquin Phoenix, as it should be expected, but not for me. Probably won't watch this movie again because I don't know what I watched. And then his preceding film before Beau is Afraid is Midsommar. Now, Midsommar, I think... maybe I shouldn't say that. I was going to say I think it's his most divisive film, but Beau is Afraid seems to be pretty divisive. So, previously, Ari Aster's most divisive film, I would say, is Midsommar. Because a lot of people are pretty uniform within their opinions for Hereditary when we get there. But Midsommar, this is really a love it or hate it movie. Which is weird I say that because I fall somewhere in the middle, right? I know a lot of people that hate this movie, and I know a lot of people that love this movie. I just don't know many people that fall somewhere on the middle on it. I fall somewhere on the middle on it, although when I first watched it, I was definitely on the end of people who hated this movie. I did not like this movie the first 2 or so times I watched it. But it has grown on me. Like I said, Ari Aster, a very good director. This movie is shot fantastically. I love that it's a horror movie that takes place during the day. There is a lot of creepy imagery and scenes. Florence Pugh, amazing performance. It's just the story in this one. The story in this one just does not interest me. Again, kind of like Beau is Afraid, but I think this one's more interesting than Beau is Afraid. Well, let me rephrase that. I like the story in this one more than Beau is Afraid because it feels more realistic and isn't as outlandish as a 10-foot tall penis monster, right? Like some random cult in Sweden that lives on this plane and like has this ritual. Cool, that's believable. That's a decent story. 10-foot tall penis monster. No, no. Okay, just no. That's a nope from me every day of the week. Anyways, Midsommar. So it's a fine story. We'll put it at that. It's a fine story for me. I just don't like the messaging. It kind of hammers home its messaging, like just really over repeats it over and over and over again. There are some scenes that I think are, I wouldn't say weird, maybe just overly long scenes and stuff. It doesn't resonate with me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The story here doesn't really resonate with me. It's not one that particularly interests me, but I think this is a significantly better movie than Beau is Afraid. I will say I am due for a rewatch on this movie. It has been a few years since I have watched it, so maybe my thoughts on it would change. But yeah, I'm always just like an arm's distance away from this movie, right? I don't know. I'm just not, I'm kind of not really in that place anymore where I watch them like, yeah, I agree with you, this is a complete dumpster fire, or yeah, I agree with you, this is 5 out of 5, greatest movie ever made, right? I'm on neither end of those camps. I'm just somewhere kind of in the middle. I'm like, yeah, I see what you can appreciate about it, and see what you don't really like about it, but yeah, I don't know. I am due for a rewatch for it. This is probably the movie Ari Aster's made that I want to rewatch the most as of right now because my opinions on Hereditary are pretty solid, and Beau is Afraid I don't ever really want to watch again. So, yeah, soon I will rewatch Midsommar. How about that? Okay, I make my promise to you right now. I will rewatch Midsommar soon. But who knows what soon is. Speaking on my thoughts on Hereditary being pretty solid, of course, my favorite Ari Aster movie is Hereditary. Like, come on. This movie is awesome. This is just one of my favorite horror movies of all time, right? Everything I've said about an Ari Aster movie thus far, in the positive section, done here. But the story in this one, I genuinely love. I genuinely think this movie is terrifying. There is horrific stuff that happens in this movie. And I am not someone who likes demon and possession and cult movies. They are not a subgenre I enjoy of horror. Like, I have seen a few demon possession movies this year in theaters, and I'm just like, I just don't give a shit. I just go see them just because I go see everything. But like, I watch them, I'm like, even if that was a great demon possession movie, I'd just be like, sure, that was fine, right? Like, to me, I just don't like the subgenre. Hereditary, however, is fucking awesome. It is the shit. Hereditary. Yeah. I like the only negative thing that I can really say about Hereditary, honestly, is that this movie was extremely overhyped for me, right? So many people were like, this is the scariest movie ever. I couldn't sleep for weeks. You're gonna piss your pants when you watch this movie. It's so scary. Okay, well, I didn't piss my pants when I watched this, but yeah, it was terrifying. So admittedly, it was a bit overhyped. Maybe I bought into all the buzzwords of like best of all time. That's like all you ever see on reviews now is like greatest movie ever or worst movie ever. So why wasn't this the greatest movie ever when I watched it? Well, it because overhyped, but it's still a fantastic film. I would say this definitively for me, it easily is his best film. Um, if he keeps making weird ass movies like Beau is Afraid, I don't think Hereditary will ever be topped. But um, I still want him to make more movies, right? I still want Ari Aster to make movies. Whether I like them or not, they're always interesting and they're always worth talking about. That is something I can never take away from Mr. Ari Aster here, is that no matter what he does, his ideas are always original, his ideas are always unique, and there's nothing like it. So I want to keep supporting Ari Aster and like supporting his filmmaking and going to see his movies. Whether I like them or not, whether I'm the target audience or not, I don't care. I just want to go see him because he's just such an interesting director. So, yeah. Um, so that's my take on Ari Aster's movies. Let's look at the critic and fan consensus of Mr. Ari Aster's movies. So currently, as it sits, Beau is Afraid is the lowest rated movie from Mr. Aster on Rotten Tomatoes at a 70%. Midsommar is in second at 83%, at 83%, and Hereditary is number one at 90%. So, yeah. And then that's the tomato meter score. Audience score is a little bit different. For audience score, his lowest rated film is actually Midsommar, then Hereditary, and then Beau is Afraid is actually his highest rated film according to audience, which is surprising. I would think the audience score is way lower than 71% for Beau. Huh. That is odd. Hmm. Yeah, Beau is Afraid. A lot of online discourse about that movie. Um, and it doesn't seem to be making a lot of money either. It's only made $5.7 million worldwide. His last two films, Midsommar made 27.4 million and Hereditary made 44.1 million. So, granted, Beau is Afraid's only been out for like a week, so it's bound to make a lot more money. But $5 million, almost $6 million compared to $27 million and $44 million, that's nothing. So, woo. I hope Beau is Afraid is still successful enough to get Ari Aster another film. I want to see him do. I want him to make another movie like Hereditary that I genuinely love. I really, really do. Like I didn't even watch a trailer to Beau is Afraid. I didn't know what I was walking into, but I was like, come on, please, just be another awesome, badass movie. Well, maybe not badass. Creepy as hell movie like Hereditary. So I'm rooting for Ari Aster. I really am. Whether I'm critical of his films or not, I am rooting for him to, you know, keep making films and hopefully one day make another film that I genuinely love. He's always going to be a guy I support in filmmaking as long as I keep going to the theaters and as long as he's around making films. So, yeah, that is Mr. Ari Aster for you. And looks like, yeah, I guess we'll do a little bit of a shorter episode today because I kind of wrapped everything up and wrapped up all my thoughts on Mr. Ari Aster. So, yes, if you have seen any of Ari Aster's movies, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section down below what you think about his movies. Also, go ahead and follow me on Letterboxd to see all my movie thoughts as I watch movies. I log every single movie I have watched. This year, I have watched a total of 106 films. That's not just new releases. That's just like total movies, period, from any year. I watched 106 movies this year. So go ahead, follow me on Letterboxd at FoxNervig. Check that out. It's pretty cool. I just want people to see my Letterboxd more. I'm proud of it. I keep a pretty cool Letterboxd, if I do say so myself. So, anyways, yeah, Thank you so much for listening, and as always, have a great rest of your day.